by, again, looking at the good qualities. If you can find that one moment when they are behaving and praise them for that one moment, and it may be only one moment in the day, instead of landing on them for times when they didn't live up to being loving. And then there will be more and more times when you see qualities that you can encourage. You start by doing this with your colleagues, with the other teachers, looking to their strengths and praising them for their strengths. And then if they are at all awake, they may be able to then turn it to the children and realize that they want to encourage the good parts of the children. It is a very thorny question. It has a lot of thorns in it, and it is difficult. Sometimes the small one will misbehave, testing you. Will they still love me if I'm just the nastiest little brat that ever lived? And you've seen this, and they do. They want to push the envelope as far as they can until it falls off the table. So, yes, you may have to look for that one instant when they were behaving and say, you're doing a good job with this. What do I do when I go around and I speak with ones? I often end it by saying, you're doing a good job. You're coming through this, because that is what I see. But I always try to leave a bit of the encouragement. And you can do this with the colleagues, you can do this with the friends, you can do this with the small ones. Look to the good qualities, because even the most miserly, grumpy example, you can find something good about them.
Okay, but while you can't exactly find the good in that moment in time, and they're screaming in the middle of the supermarket, and we can't quite find the good at that point. What do you do? You let them scream until you can find something good?
What my Mary found to work was to change the focus of attention. She would either give them something that would change their focus and they would stop crying, wondering what's going on here, why did she give me this, whatever. And then in that moment, there is a change of energy. It is a bit difficult sometimes when the screamers are not your children, they're somebody else's, and they may not like it if you're trying to work with the other one, but you can always smile at them. And sometimes they will stop long enough to take a breath and wondering, what is she smiling at? And it does work, not always, but sometimes. Because truly they are screaming because they want attention. And if one is passing by and doesn't like it, then you can do the smile. Or you can say something to them. Now they won't hear it because they're screaming. But the curiosity gets in there. What did she say to me? And they stop for a moment, hoping that you'll repeat it, because they get curious and they don't want to miss anything. And so they stop, and then you smile and you say something that changes the energy completely. It takes a bit of practice. It takes a lot of practice. It is a very good question, because what you want to do is to encourage the good. And sometimes ones tall and small don't always give you much opportunity.
Well, that's true, and then when you're judged in teaching, you're judged.
I know.
And if you're not controlling, then you're not going to have that job for very long. They're not going to allow you to just allow them to be, it's the way it is right now.
Well, as you have discerned, it is to praise the good times. And if you start out if you have a year, and you start out the year praising the good behavior, after a while, it doesn't happen right away, but after a while, they will get the message that the encouragement, the reinforcement comes for behaving. They may not do it right away. They may have resentment. But that is because of how they are raised at home. But if you see the good in them, and you will, you do, and praise that, it does grow. It's an uphill job, but
A very important job.
and a very important one. Yes.
Parenting is one of the hardest jobs on the planet.
Well, yes.
Good parenting.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Do you have any questions?
Oh, beloved Holy Spirit. You're welcome. I'll do that again. Take it away. We will tease him. Yes, beloved Holy Scribe.
Yes, you spoke earlier this evening about the mosquito, and
You want to claim that?
No, and you refused to give us the names of the people on the committee who created the mosquito for their own protection, I take it.
Yes.
But my question is, why didn't Noah swat those 2 mosquitoes when he had the chance?
In truth, he didn't have the chance.
Oh.
They didn't stop long enough.
Oh, okay. A little over a year ago, we spoke a little bit about all of the stone circles in South Africa, which date back to the time of Enki.
Right.
And they are all, they're not all circular, they are the exact shape needed to tap the energy of the earth.
Right.
You said that we put the energy into the stones and that energy is still there.
Yes.
How do we do that?
It was a knowing that is almost remembered. It is kind of a very faint, foggy remembrance. But remembering that you can, as ones have done, the blessing of the water. How does one bless the water? How does one put energy into the stones? It is by knowing, believing, and then affirming that it is true. So it was done.
This energy we put into the stones, did that enable them to float into place
Yes.
in the circles?
Yes.
One at a time or all together?
One at a time.
One at a time.
Yes.
This guy in Coral Gables, Florida, who created this castle, did it all by himself, and there's huge stones, and he unloaded them and put them in place all by himself,
Right.
and nobody knew the secret until some kids saw him out there one time with these stone implements that looked like ice cream cones.
Okay, yes.
Now in Africa, they're finding those implements all over the place, so I take it that's what they use to float the stones into place.
Right.
Is there something besides those ice cream cone stones, just that in the mind, or?
You've got it. It is the mind, and then because there is belief that there needs to be an outer evidence of something, then ice cream cones are made. But in truth, it doesn't need that.
You're right.
In truth, what you have done other times is to know the energy of the mind and then to put it into place with a hand. But if you want to make it 1 degree a little bit more outside of yourself, ice cream cones work.
And they're, I don't know the number, but it's over 1 million of these stone circles, and they're all connected together.
Yes.
They needed all that before they could start their project of using that energy to send the gold back to their planet, or whatever they used it for. Is that what they used it for?
Yes, it is what they used it for. And it wasn't only gold, it was some other of the minerals that are not found on the planet where you were living. And so the scouts were sent out early, and they knew already how to do this. It was something that they were instructed and learned, experimented with.
So how long would it take them to create over 1 million stone circles?
Not very long, actually, as you would visualize. And there were quite a few who had come in the spaceship, and they came out.
But it wasn't like more than 1,000, was it, or was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
It was several thousand.
Okay.
And the ones who came out were a form different than what you understand human form to be. They were much smaller so that they fit into the spaceship easily. You would call them large ants, I suppose. Not a form that you would recognize as human.
Oh,
Yes. So they kind of packed themselves in.
how big were they then? How tall?
They would have been about this tall, about 3 feet.
Okay.
Yes.
Michael Tellinger is one who's investigating this, has
Right.
been for years and still is at it. Was he must have been there at the same time as Enki?
Yes.
And did he have a hand in manipulating the DNA to create the slave race to help them mine gold? Or
Well, in truth, it wasn't actually a slave race.
right?
It was
They
ones who were of that planet. And because there was a heavier density of what you call the gravity, they didn't grow big, tall. They were more compact. You have had all kinds of shapes.
Didn't they mix their own DNA with the hominids that were here already, though, to create this?
There was some of that, yes, that happened.
And, okay, did these beings that came, they didn't look like ants, they looked like people, didn't
Well,
they?
they look like people, yes.
Okay. Is it the reason Michael Tellinger is back now and working on this contributionism thing, Ubuntu,
Yes.
to make up for, instead of, since he helped create the slave race, now he wants to free them?
Right. Right.
Is his movement going to come to fruition?
In small measure now. In larger measure later. Yes.
Good. That, I might have more later, next time, we'll see.
Okay, to be continued.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Very good. We have most interesting questions from time to time. It touches on everything you can imagine and more about the being. Most wonderful, the questions that come up. Most wonderful as you look back to history, way back sometimes to before recorded history. And yet there's a knowing deep within you that this is not all that I have ever been. But it is very good. Now, beloved ones, it has been my great joy, my honor, to be with you and to look at the questions and to take them back to the divine self of you, to encourage, to laugh with you, to look at every nuance of what can be, and to leave it wide open for the next time. Go in love. I chose you. You chose me. And love has sent you forth. So be it.